A good evening, Zimbabwe. Good evening, Africa. I'm Respect, your host on Farm TV Africa. Today, we are privileged to have two great women and young farmers in Africa to discuss on their role as women in African agricultural development and taking agriculture as a career option among young people. Ladies, this is your program. This is your time. Give you this opportunity to introduce yourselves. Then straight we go into the discussion of the day. What is your role in African agricultural development? So over to you, ladies.
Ellen, please feel free to start.
Pardon?
Please feel free to start.
Oh, okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Evelyn Usojiwa Meganian, and I'm in my final year of studies at Earth University. It is a privilege to be part of this program, and I just wish you guys to stay tuned and get more from us. There's more to talk about, so just sit down, relax, and enjoy the program.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tanyisa Chitambala. I'm from Zambia, also a final year student here at Earth, studying agriculture, and I'm happy to be here tonight.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and start the discussion on your role as women in African agricultural development.
Well, initially, we were invited here to have a discussion with you, right? And I was thinking to myself, what exactly is the role that women play in agriculture? Then I thought back to when I was younger, and I would see in the fields because I grew up in a farm area, and I would see in the fields that most of the time the people that were there were women. It could be an older couple, but then most of the people that were farming were women, right? Even if you go to the markets and you're seeing who's selling the produce, it was mostly women. So I feel like regardless whether it's intentional or non-intentional, women have always had a role in agriculture, because they have this stereotypical view of the woman is the nurturing part of the marriage or the family. So she always has to provide for her family. So regardless whether it's intentional or intentional, a woman has a role in agriculture and she has to provide for her people, for her family, or wherever. So when I look at the role of women in agriculture in general, right now, I feel like women are more at the bottom than at the top. But I feel like regardless of gender, women should be at the top or the bottom anywhere. But personally, I would love to see women at the top. That is my um personal that's what I personally would like to see because I feel like we are underrepresented and the rules are always dropped from the top to the bottom and women particularly don't have a say. I don't know what Ellen has to say or respect.
Okay. So I think that women play an important role in African agriculture, for instance, because we stand out as like the pillars of economic growth, especially when it comes to agriculture and agribusiness. We dominate rural economies throughout Africa. And when we look at women in agriculture in the sub-Sahara Africa, we refer to agriculture system in the sub-Sahara Africa that is small-scale farming system with more than 50% of the agricultural activities performed by women. Women produce about 60 to 70% of the food in this region. So it makes me think that, yeah, we have an important role to play. When I put Ghana into consideration, you can say that like 60, almost half or more than half of the women in Ghana are into agriculture systems, right? And then we think that if 70% of Ghana's food stock is being produced by women, then we have an important role. Even though it's just few of them that have land that they give it out or they themselves hire people to be involved helping them in the cultivation of food crops to support the country. So I think we hold an important role in this system. And like on average, women make up to 43% of the agriculture labor or force in developing countries. And most evidence show that if these women have the same access to productive resource as men, then we could increase yield on our farms by approximately 20 to 30%, like raising total agriculture output in developing countries by, let's say, 2.5 to 4%. So in turn, this will reduce the number of hungry people we have in the world, and that could be around 12 to 17%. Let's say that. So we will have a very crucial role to play in agriculture, especially when it comes to Africans, right? So, like most of the things, I was doing some little reading and I realized that 30% of the food that we all consume globally are produced by women. 30%. So if women are producing 30% of the food we all consume globally, then that is very important. That is very important. But we lack of resource. We've realized that most people are not able to go into farming because they lack resource. And sometimes there are banks that do not want to give financial help to women because they think that they cannot do anything, but we are actually playing an important role. So if this 30% is to be increased by another 5%, you and I can testify that that will be a very important thing in this world because people wouldn't go hungry. We have large number of people producing, but most of the time we think that farming basically farming is basically for men because we think that women are supposed to be in the kitchen cooking, taking care of the babies, taking care of everyone in the household, right? But that is not true because most men would like to be in the office working because I can testify that I have friends that when you speak to them, you realize that they want to sit in the office and work. Some of them do not want to go to the field where like looking at Costa Rica where we are always going for this work experience, whether it's raining, whether it's shining, like whether it's an earthquake or not. You used to go, right? You used to go and work really hard, thinking of the future. But we are not taking that into consideration. Women are being placed in a certain position that do not allow us to bring out what is in us, like showcase what we've got in terms of agriculture, how we can
So,
help.
Ellen, can I stop you there? So you're saying you are being marginalized from taking a leading role in agriculture.
Mhm.
If given the opportunity and the platforms to take a lead in agriculture, um, you can develop agriculture in Africa and the world as a whole.
Can you come again, please?
I'm saying because you're saying we are being marginalized, we are not being given the opportunity to showcase your potential and showcase your capacity in terms of leading agricultural development.
Mhm.
So is it like when we go back to Africa, you see most of the women are always in the field working and they are not taking maybe other roles in terms of advancing their education in agriculture and taking leadership roles. So is it a matter of us saying, as men, we are suffocating your space, we are not giving you the opportunities so that we can take a lead, we can find Ellen being the Minister of Agriculture in Ghana and Toniso being the Minister of Agriculture in Zambia one of the day. Or maybe it's also up to you just to say, no, we are you've been marginalized, so you just take the field work. You don't need to take a leading role. I don't get your view. I don't know honestly if you're getting what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Uh, okay. Lisa, do you want to go or I should just continue?
Go ahead. I'll come
Okay.
after you.
All right. So the thing is, when we look at the olden days, right, we always think that women, our place is just the kitchen, as I said before. So we are not being offered a lot of opportunities where we can get involved in things when it comes to the economy. We don't get involved, and you go to, as I mentioned before, you go to some banks for, for financial assistance, for loans to help you grow your farm into a bigger one, to just feed the whole family, or sell to others in order to reduce uh, um, the rate of at which people are getting hungry. Most people believe that we don't have the capability to grow, or to have this big farm where we can support people. So it's like we actually need someone, a man, to back us up.
Okay.
So when you go to the bank for money, okay, who do you think you can cultivate a loan? That is the question. So they believe that we do not have that strength, we do not have the skills, we do not have the ability to help increase the 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 the, the agriculture sector. But that is not true. We are capable of everything. We are capable. So it's
Okay.
time that we stop thinking that women have just one particular role to play, and we do not have place in agriculture sector, because most men think that we are not strong enough. But it's just you could see that there are women that own, like, that own 100 acres, and like this banana factory, or banana farm they export. But the thing is, because we are always behind someone, we are always behind the men, people don't really see us. People don't really see what we are capable of doing, how we can increase the agricultural sector in Africa. So I think it is time that they give us the chance to be able to produce, to be able to help increase the sector, because we are capable of doing it. When they give it to us, if resource can be given to us, if we can access the resource that is available, I think we'll be able to increase the
Product.
the agriculture sector, and then it will help in the development of most of our countries in Africa.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Let me just add on a little bit. I agree to some extent with what Ellen is saying in regards to the opportunities that are offered to women. I feel like maybe 10, 20, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, the opportunities offered to women were lesser than they are now. But the opportunities that are there right now for women are more competitive, you know. So it's like you have to have this big idea to get this money or grant or whatever for you to work on your project, you know. So let's say like 10 women are applying for just one grant, and only one person is going to get it, you know. So I feel like always for men, not to make it about gender, but for men, I feel like the opportunities come much easier. Whereas for women, we have to compete amongst ourselves to get them. You know, I'm not. I don't. I've seen a few opportunities. Let me say back home in Zambia, I've seen that the government is giving out some money for women to start to work into agriculture. I've seen that the USAID is giving some grants to start up a business as long as your idea is good enough, which is something that is very fantastic. And I've seen that most job opportunities also write the fine line of females are encouraged to apply, which I really really like. But then that's also a way of showing that the opportunities are there. They might be right, but I think they're also limited to a certain extent, you know. Like Ellen was saying, if we just increase that little percentage, of women are producing so much, and but if they produce so much more, there can be less hunger in the world, there can be more food and stuff like that. I mean, why are we limited from sharing from the opportunities, from accessing these opportunities, and why are they more offered to the men? And why are we always competing with the men?
Yeah, but can't you see that sometimes we may blame men to say men are not giving up the space for you guys to develop? But don't you think that also most ladies, especially young ladies and girls,
Mhm.
they have this negative view, negative perception about getting into agriculture is the first choice option, and they think that agriculture is for the less intelligent people, less educated
Yeah.
people, is for the married women in the villages who doesn't have anything to. And also based on your experiences, you've explored the world, you've traveled the world, you've seen opportunities in agriculture. Right now, we are some of those young women we are looking up to develop agriculture in Africa. Um,
Mhm.
what can you say to someone maybe who's just finishing high school, or someone who is looking for career options um, concerning agriculture?
Should I go first?
Okay, with the issue of people not wanting to go into agriculture sector, I think we have this mentality or this thought behind that agriculture is basically being in the farm,
Okay.
having this cutlass in your hand or having a hoe in your hands to be digging up, to be cultivating, being in the sun for hours. But agriculture is not only about being in the farm.
Okay.
So because of that mentality, it's preventing people from going into that sector. And then most people think that okay, fine, if I study agriculture and after school, um, I don't get job where I can be in the office, where I can't have my own farm. It will take me years. So I'll rather go for maybe nursing. I'll go for the training because that one there is a probability that right after school I'll get work to do. So these are the things that we need to address. And I think um it is important if the government can put more effort into the agriculture sector, that will draw more people to have like the courage, to have the confidence to have this feeling for agriculture, because we are all focusing on one particular thing. Looking at this situation that we are all facing right now with this pandemic that we are all facing now, most people are focusing only on the medical side. But look, people are dying of hunger. When
Okay.
this whole thing started, when this whole COVID thing started, we were not only focusing on how to get treatment for that. People were rushing for food. How come there were a shortage of food? Because we have neglected the agriculture sector. And more people are going into the finance industry, more people are going into the medical industry, more people are going into other industries, and we've neglected the agriculture sector, which is affecting us. So if people are not involved, if people do not want to get into the agriculture sector, hell no. How will you tell if you yourself is not in the agriculture sector? How then you expect to convince me to go into the agriculture sector? And if you tell me that okay, I graduated from school and there was no job, I couldn't start my own farm, I don't have a land, because going to the bank for loan, the the interest is very high. So people are not able to go into the agriculture sector, and that is
Okay.
leaving
Ellen,
work.
you're talking about the government. Let's assume you were the Minister of Agriculture right now. What would you do in Ghana?
Right now, give the youth more opportunities. You there's a need to open more opportunities for them, job employment. There should be ways that you can help them, assist them financially. Because if right now, from us, the students right now, we have all the ability to start up a farm. But the question is, how do we get the support? Where do we get a financial assistance from? If there is no resource backing us up, it's very difficult. And as individual, right after graduation, you don't have any form of resource where you can that can back you up to start something. But if the government can support the youth with that, they can do an initiative where we can even bring our ideas or our project into existence, right? We bring our projects live, then I think it will be able to help, because if there is a support, if there's an initiative where it can give me resource, can give me financial resource to help me start up a business. It could be me starting up a pig farm.
Okay.
Me starting up a pig farm, it can just increase in no time for me to employ my colleague. And that will help. But after graduating, there is no job, there is no initiative. The government have not allocated specific money to help that sector. Then, right after graduating, I'll start looking for other ways, other opportunities, not for me to start up a business to support my country or to support my colleagues who do not have ways and means to that. So most people graduate and they realize that maybe the person graduated from undergrad, right? They end up even changing the whole program that they did. Someone will end up doing business administrative stuff, whilst the person did agriculture. And then you find a person in a company that deals with communication. Why? Because right after graduation, there was no opportunity for that person to start up something. So if I was to be the Minister of Agriculture, I think it is important for me to put more of the youth, for instance, into consideration, finding ways and where we can support them with a startup, a money allocated for them to start up a business. We can also start a business and employ them there, give them the necessary skills and the knowledge that we think they will need to help us in the agriculture industry. So I think it's very important if we put the government to do something for the youth in terms of that, so that it will just bring more, it will just allow more students to go into the agriculture sector to learn more, because if there is money supporting them and I'm benefiting from that, I'm able to start something that will help the economy. I wouldn't keep for myself alone. I also try to, before someone can select a course in a school, we are always talking to the previous students, finding out, okay, which elective do you think it will be best? So if I think I'm in the agriculture sector and it's not helping me, there is no way I'm going to recommend to someone. So I think it is very important
I
if
think
we
I can come in now.
do something.
Firstly, to begin with your sorry, Ellen.
So if
To
I think
begin
I'm
with your
and it's not helping me,
sorry, it's feedback. Anyway, to begin with your question on why there's so few women in agriculture, I feel like it begins with how we were socialized growing up. Anyway, certain people, not everybody, Mostly you see people working, like Ellen mentioned, you see people working in the fields, you see people under the sun the whole day, in the rain, and then you assume, okay, so that's what agriculture is all about. But then in reality, when you sit down and you write down the main topics of agriculture, you see that it's a very, very big topic. There's so many topics under one big topic, and I'm sure there's something out there for everybody. So I feel like it's very important, especially in high school, before people start choosing. I mean, by high school, some people are already choosing their careers. But I think it would also be very important, like when kids are young, starting from when they're younger, you start teaching them about agriculture practices. If it means taking them on school trips to see farms and places like that, so that mostly when you ask kids, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to be an accountant. I want to be a banker. I want to be a doctor. Very few kids will say, I want to be an agriculturalist, I want to be a scientist, I want to do this. So I think it's very important from a very young age to show kids or children the quote unquote good side of agriculture, like it's more than just standing under the sun and planting maize and harvesting maize, So I feel like it also goes way back to that point. And then also I feel like if I was in a position where I could help women in agriculture, first of all, it would be very ideal in our local schools, first of all, to give opportunities, more opportunities to women and men. Like instead of having, because here I noticed like the school we're at right now, Earth University, they were celebrating not too long ago that there was an income, um, there was an intake that came in with more women than men, which is excellent. But why isn't that the norm? Why is that something I was celebrating in the 21st century? You know, so it would be ideal to have a 50% male, 50% female intake. I feel that's very important, especially back home. And then on top of that, that just limits the women to the easier courses. You know, um, Women can also do engineering courses related to agriculture engineering. Women can also do animal science, which I did earlier on in my career. So I feel like it's very important to put it out there that women are not the weaker sex and can do whatever they want to do when it comes to agriculture. You know, and then they can also work in the lab. They can also work outside in the field. It's just showing agriculture in a way that sells it to a point where someone can identify themselves and say, okay, you know what, agriculture is not that bad. Because I've also noticed there's a group on Facebook, I don't recall the name, but I think it's called Small Scale Farmers. It's a Zambian group. And in there, I've seen a lot of women and men sharing their adventures in agriculture. Most of them did not study agriculture, but they're doing agriculture as a business or as a hobby, as a way of making money. And I've noticed a lot of women taking part. And then not too long ago, I read a headline that where the Minister of Agriculture, if I'm not mistaken, was encouraging women to take part in livestock. I read that article and I found it very plain because they're encouraging women to get into agriculture, but you're not giving them the platform. So like Ellen mentioned, I think it's very important. Number one, if it's giving out scholarships, if you go out to the secondary schools and say, hey, we're giving out scholarships, if it's University of Zambia, if it's National Resources Development College, if it's outside Zambia, like these Russian scholarships or Chinese scholarships, but there should be a certain amount that is given to the agriculture sector, and then maybe make it compulsory for that when that person graduates, they have a job for 1 year or 2 years in the government sector. At entry level, it can be on a farm, it can be on the office managing the details, managing the financials of the farm. It can be anything. But at least they should get that experience. Also, it goes with the internships. I feel like farms should be very open to having students coming in to learn because then that exposes you to the opportunities that are there out there. But like Ellen said, to a certain extent, I feel like the government is not doing the work that they should be doing. They said there's a lot of money in agriculture, but there are very few opportunities. At the end of the day, when you graduate, we're all competing for one spot. So unless you have like a master's degree, you're going to be fighting. All of you diplomas degrees, they're all going to be undergraduate degrees, they're all going to be
Okay.
fighting at the bottom there for an entry level job. So I feel like it's just a matter of opportunities being presented and people also taking up opportunities. I don't see anything wrong with getting a loan from the bank. Let's say like now there are youth loans, so you can get a loan. You start something small. Put what you learned into practice instead of always waiting for, oh, I went to such and such a company, they're not employing right now. I went to this and they're not employing right now. So I think it's very important to also put yourself out there and look for opportunities. But in relation to the women and why there are fewer women in the agriculture sector, I think it's very important for more opportunities, should be it grants, be it scholarships to be given to women. Like no matter what, this 50% of scholarships is going to women, you know. And then afterwards, they should be helped to start their career. I think that's very important.
Yeah, okay. Also, one topical issue around agriculture in Africa is the issue to do with the land ownership. And it's also linked to cultural aspects. Can you comment on your experiences both in Zambia and Ghana concerning land ownership to women? Because, like, I was seeing one document saying women globally they own less than 20% of agricultural land, yet they produce more food as compared to their male counterparts. So, what is the form of like land ownership in both Zambia and Ghana?
Okay, so for Ghana, for instance, it's just 10% of Ghana female owned land, female farmers own land. So imagine out of when you compare it to 23% of men, so that 10% is very small. Just 10% is very small, and um, with that 10%, if we're able to produce like 25% to like increase agricultural produce by 25%, then I think if we have more women owning land in the agriculture industry, I think that will be able to help with the economy. But just most of the time in when it comes to family issues, when there's a property, most of the time majority of it go to the men, right? In case you have an elderly son, right?
And, and,
Um,
and, and that's our culture. Can we say our culture is bad or?
In a way, it's very limiting to women, to be
mhm.
honest, because then obviously the man is always going to be in favor. But then if we want to uplift the role of women in agriculture, something has to change there. Seriously.
Yeah, and I also think maybe it is because we always know that men are the head of families, right? So we believe that there's more responsibility to them, they, for them to be doing, and then they are supposed to be taking care of the family. So the women are limited in a sense that we feel like we don't play most of the roles in our families where we take care, because some people have this idea that okay, fine, if a lady gets married, the guy will be the person to be taking care of the whole household. So we think that it's important if all resources to go to the man,
Yeah,
so
and usually
everything
you find
is
that
going
when
to the
you
guys,
sorry
leaving
to
the
cut you
ladies
off.
behind.
Yeah, but usually you find off when you have a title deed, even if you are a married woman and you want to put it in your maiden name, there's a problem because you have to put it in your married name. Now that also brings a problem because let's say if something happens in the family, the man's family has the right to claim the land. So I think it's very important for women to also be given an option to put things in their name and to generate their own income. I kind of agree with what Ellen is saying in relation to the man is the head. I know that depends strongly on what you believe. But then I've noticed in our African culture, it's very common. That saying of the man in the house. So even if, let's say, if I come from a well-to-do family and my father leaves me land when he passes on, most likely I will have no say over that land. It will be the man who have the say. So I think that generally it really has to change respect. What do you say as a man?
Yeah, we have a lot of bad things in our culture, and since it's our culture, sometimes we cannot just change things over the night because we might face the societal resistance. But I think it is very, very important to have both gender equality and gender equity, so that the rights that I have, also Toniso and Ellen have the same rights. The opportunities that I
Exactly.
have, also both of you guys you have them, because at the end of the day, we have a very big role, both of us, to play in terms of development of our communities, development of our agriculture. So
Okay,
I
but I have a
feel like
question. Respect.
we need to sit down in societies and try to remove such bad aspects of our cultures.
Okay, so I have a question. Do you feel like certain men in roles in positions of power are intimidated by women? Let's say, like they think if we give women these positions, they will stop respecting us, or there's a certain reason why women are held below the man, or
Yeah, because
everything.
of this, the cultural issues, and that's us. That's our culture. So I was saying it's difficult to just change overnight. Um,
Hmm.
some of these cultural aspects give us this ego as men to say, "Hey, me, I'm respected." Toniso cannot say this even if she's my wife or she's my girlfriend, or Ellen cannot say this because I'm respected. I'm an African man, and
Exactly.
we most men. they try to find these ways to suppress women so that we maintain our ego, we maintain access to resources. Because like one most difficult issue across Africa, but especially in Zimbabwe, everyone is fighting for access to resources. So men also use these cultural aspects to suppress women so that they can have access to resources. But all the same, if you look at at women in Zimbabwe, for instance, our constitutions gave an opportunity for women to participate freely and also go for elections. But when you see, for example, when we are having elections, you will see the females that would opt to vote for a male instead of their fellow woman. So yes, we can blame us as men, but also we are there to blame
Yeah,
because
but
I
I
don't
think
know.
sorry
Yeah,
for
But then
definitely.
respect. If you sorry, if you look at the ballot paper when when people are voting, how many women are represented compared to the men?
Yeah, like
just less than 10%.
okay, I'm not a politician.
Exactly. So
I'm not I like I'm not that much comfortable commenting on political issues. Okay, but let me,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
since you asked the question, let me answer. It's like for example, when we have elections in Zimbabwe, uh,
Okay.
every political party goes to the people to say, please, can you forward, can you nominate yourself or other party members, nominate other party members. And you see, on the nomination, there are less females nominating themselves more than men. So you end up
Okay.
having more men on the ballot paper than
Mhm.
women. And if there's only one woman who decide to stand up and say, I want to vie for this post, you see also females voting for males. So at the end of the day, yeah, we might blame these cultural issues. Yes, they are there, but sometimes also you guys, you are there to blame
Mhm.
for your marginalization. I don't know if I have answered you fair.
Hmm.
Okay, so me, I think
I
that
don't know if I agree.
most of it has to do with our culture, right?
Yeah.
Because it feels like most people, most guys do not like the idea of working under a woman. And we also think that if a woman is holding this higher position, it makes that person disrespectful in so many ways. And if they are not getting the respect that they need, then it would be better if they don't put any woman in a very high position where we find men working under that particular woman. So I think the society is really defining who we are. Our culture is defining who we are. But it's time we do not allow the society or the environment that we find ourselves in determine who we are. We need to take up, we need to be strong because we are not going to be helping the agriculture sector or helping the country for our own benefits, but for the benefit of everyone, for the benefit of everyone. Because I believe that if women are given most of the opportunities,
Mhm.
everyone benefits from that. Everyone benefits from that. In terms of if a land is being given to a woman and this woman starts cultivating something, at the end of the day, the produce goes back to the family because the same woman used the produce to prepare food for the family. The profit, the money will be used to take care of the family. So if we are giving most of the opportunities, it doesn't limit just few people, but like everyone benefit from that. So I think we should also put that into consideration and we shouldn't allow the society define who we are to be.
Okay, but Ellen, I have a question for you. You
Okay.
know, I've noticed some women are put in positions of power, let's say, and sometimes I feel like they're just put there to say we have a certain percentage of women represented. You know, So then, but then those women do not necessarily play an active role. So how can we change that? Because I've seen like in certain government institutions and certain businesses where women are given, okay, maybe this woman is the vice, or this woman is the one heading this department, but then you see that she doesn't really have an active role. She's just there as a woman.
Yeah,
So how
exactly.
can we change that?
To add to that, let me give you an example from your country. I've
Yeah.
never seen your vice president.
Exactly. That I didn't want to say that, but
Oh,
yeah,
it's
I'm
really
leaning
president
towards
wrong.
that.
I've never seen your vice
Exactly.
president.
That's
Oh,
that's
okay.
exactly what it. Yeah.
I think that women are being placed in that position just to cover the fact that we don't allow women take a lot of positions. So when they are being placed in that kind of position, they are just there for being their sake. Most of the responsibilities are being given to the men. So if the woman is a vice president and there is a guy who is a president, it's like they actually don't give women more of the work to do. So I think if we can give them more responsibilities, not only having the title but giving them the actual work to do, taking up projects, taking up a contract, and see to it that it is done, I think we can do away with the fact that we only have the title but not
Yeah.
working.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yes, I also want to throw another question in relationship
Uh-huh.
to our curriculum for agriculture and other disciplines in Africa. What the difference between what we are getting here at Earth University to prepare
Mm-hmm.
both as agronomists and also as leaders so that we can take active leadership roles? Is there any difference in terms of the curriculum in Africa to prepare like farmers who can take leadership roles and just being normal farmers without, because like what you are discussing here, yes, you can be an
Mm-hmm.
agronomist with the scientific and business knowledge, but if you cannot take a leadership role, there's no one who's going to advocate for your land rights. There's no one who's going to advocate for your space, for financial resources. So what's the difference between what we are getting here and the experience back home?
Okay. So personally speaking, because I studied at a college before coming here, right? If I compare the experiences, I feel like we get more practical work here. We get to do things and see things, interact with farmers from outside. So that puts you, I feel like, at a better position of understanding the level at which the farmers are at and the level which you need to start from. You know, so even like leading the business, the tilapia business, Grand Pest, the Impressor, that helps me evaluate my leadership skills. Like where can I strengthen? Where are my weaknesses, and what can I work on as what is already my strength? So I feel like, in a way, it's all about going back home and seeing where are we right now as women or as farmers generally. Because I feel like a lot of people, when they decide to, okay, how are we going to help the farmers back home, it's all about making a decision and saying, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. But one
Okay.
thing I've learned, I think it's very important to sit down with the farmers or a representative and find out what exactly would they like to do, what is missing, and then build from there. You know, because I could start a business, for example, but then that business won't be fruitful because I didn't do a background check. I didn't investigate on what exactly is needed. So I feel like all that basic knowledge, not assuming that you know all, you know, but putting yourself in the farmer's shoes, associating with them, seeing, because right now, yes, I can say that I can see where Zambia can improve in terms of agriculture, right? But then maybe I don't know what exactly is limiting them, right? Maybe they get the resources, maybe they get the fertilizer, maybe they get the seeds, but maybe there's a pest maybe there that's eating the corn. Maybe there's something there that, maybe there's poor management skills. So maybe I see myself as a person who's working with the farmers there, talking to them, getting first-hand information and helping them build from there.
So
You know,
you're saying in 5 years the story of agriculture in your community, if not Zambia, is going to be different.
uh, I hope so. I really would love to change something in my community respect, because I feel like a lot of people when they go overseas, they see back home to this rose-colored glass and saying, "Oh, when I go home, I will construct this, I will do this, I will do that." But then that's like drawing castles in the air. For me, I'd rather go back and sit. Okay, because for example, I know that okay, in our community there's a poor recycling situation. So maybe I start small and then build with the community there. Or I see okay, the women, because usually what I saw is the land that was being farmed when I was growing up. Now they're houses. So it's like what what can we do now as a community to ensure that there's income still coming into the community? So I feel like I hope that 5 years from now, when we talk, I'm making a difference in my
Oh,
community. I
that's
would really love
inspiring.
to. Thank you.
Okay,
So you
I'll just add something for you to what Niso said. I think it is important to know where or which part of the agriculture sector that we can improve. It could
Okay.
be that there is a problem with the marketing sector. It
Exactly.
could be like there is a problem with like the financial sector. No, so it is important for us to go back, look at the whole scenario, find out where we can improve. If it is the point of connecting all the chain factors, then that is important because you help farmers. But there are cases where farmers produce in large
Mhm.
quantity, but they do not have market.
Exactly.
There's no market in terms of the national level, international level. So what can we do? As Niso said, where are we now? What can we do? Where do we see the agriculture industry in the next 5 years? What do we think we can help improve that? So we don't just get up and go back home and start working without doing any background check. Yeah, we may be seeing things, we may be reading things online, we may be getting information from people, but we need to be on the ground. We need to find out, we need to communicate with the farmers, find out what they are facing, what we think we can improve. If it's the financial aspect that we need to improve, we work on that. If it's the marketing level, we work on that. Help them get market. Help them in the sense that the consumers are able to get their produce on time. Because farmers store their produce and at the end of the day, half of it get rotten because they do not have access to market,
Exactly.
and consumers do not have access to fresh produce because there is no chain connecting the farmers and then the consumer. So I think we need to put all those aspects into consideration on how we can help improve. If it's in terms of pests affecting their crops, we work on that. If it's if it has something to do with the soil, we work on that. If it has something to do with the seeds that they're using, we work on that. So we need to improve every part of it in order to help the agriculture sector. So we don't just go back and start farming, start something without knowing what is actually going on. We can't help if we start employing people to work for us and we don't know what the farmers are facing. That wouldn't help. At the end of the day, we waste resource, we waste our time without targeting the actual problem. So I think we need to put that into consideration too.
okay. Thank you so much, guys, for being on the program, and I hope I'm going to invite you in future programming. And maybe as your closing remarks, what can you say to female farmers and other young women who want to get into agriculture in Africa? Is your closing remarks?
Yes, so
Mm.
would you like
Go ahead, Dylan.
Oh, okay. I think I'll just like to tell all women, especially from Ghana, that are involved in agriculture to take it very serious. And then we've seen that there are other companies or investors that are trying to invest in that sector. We shouldn't let any little thing limit us from doing what we are supposed to do, right? We should take up that sector, we should work on it. We have the ability, we are capable of doing it. We can get investors. We shouldn't say, okay, I'll go to the bank. The bank is not the only place that we can get resource from. So if we could do that and we could involve ourselves in it, I think that would help with the economy of our country, because it depends on it. The economy of our country is on our shoulder, right? So we need to take up that responsibility to also help the government and reach out to as many people as we can, as many women, and bring them on board, and that will help.
Okay. And Tony,
Yeah,
so
and just to close, just to close, I just like to encourage all women, especially the Zambian ladies, to just take up a role. You know, it doesn't have to be a very yeah, okay. It doesn't have to be something that you feel like I feel like there's a lot of pressure to make this big change, you know. But just even starting with a small backyard garden and you start selling, you know, something is something. So I feel like we just need to take up a role. That's the very important thing, you know. If it means investing in small courses, if it means looking for resources, you know, just push yourself out there, you know, because agriculture is a sector that's for everybody. It's not just for men. It's not just for women of a certain age, a certain race. You know, agriculture is for everyone. So it would be nice to have this conversation again in 5 years and see where we are as women in Africa. So thank you for having me, Respect. I really enjoyed this conversation.
yeah, thank you to Aniso and Ellen, and thank you to our wonderful viewers for being with us today. And stay tuned to Farm TV Africa. We are going to bring you a lot of programs towards enhancing agricultural productivity across Africa, and also to help grow our economies through agriculture. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye.